witnessing this kind of revival, this retrospective of ancient Egyptian films, or epic film. And Charlton Heston was asked to comment on it, and he said it's very important to do these retrospectives because these kind of films can never be made again. They're simply too expensive. So we put the package together, we did artwork for it, we wrote the script 5 years ago. We put this whole proposal together, and we took it to each student and said, we want to recreate the epic. And most people in town were interested in doing it. They just simply didn't believe it could be done for the budget we said. They said, you're talking about a $150 million picture. You're talking about a movie that's just not going to make any sense to do. And we said, we thought we could do it for a third of that price. And we did. This movie came in on time, on budget, and all the money is on the screen.
When we were in Yuma and we filmed there for some 7 weeks, we used over 16,000 extras, not on a single day, but cumulatively. And that's an enormous number of people to logistically move around, and particularly in the elements in which we were working, which was extreme heat, sand dunes, total exposure to the elements, and it was a nightmare. I'm glad it's over, and we survived it very, very well, but it was really hard, real difficult.
First day that I worked, and it was real hot. I asked somebody, I said, geez, it's pretty warm today. He said, yeah, it's 126. And I thought, this is going to be kind of long and grueling. In all honesty, it was very, very tough on the crew because they were hauling equipment around those dunes, and they were hauling them long distances and stuff.
We spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on rimrock water and arrowhead water in order to keep a constant flow of water that was supplied to all the extras and our crew, our working crew as well. Much more slowly on sand. I mean, just physically, you can't move as quickly. You don't have the purchase on it as you do on concrete or tarmac. Yuma was chosen as a location for a variety of reasons. Most importantly, we needed a location that was going to really serve as the desert. And not being able to go to Morocco or Egypt and go to the Sahara Desert, Yuma being an hour's plane ride away from here was a very convenient location, and it also offered up visually exactly what Roland was looking for and what the script really demanded, and that was endless sand dunes and vistas of sand dunes. So Yuma was a fairly obvious place to do the film as we were based in Los Angeles. It became like a city. I mean, it was literally a city with tents, vehicles, portable bathrooms, catering facilities, and it literally was a city that serviced the entire production. And it was put together and disappeared in almost overnight when we were done.
I've done a few big shows in the past few years, but this one's a big movie. I had a crew of 50 working for me in Los Angeles in the construction end of this. And then I brought about 20 people with me to Yuma to dress these people, because we weren't quite sure how many we had, but we knew that every day would probably be over 1,000, and that happened quite often.
What was real important to us was to give everybody the feeling that we really cared about the working condition and the working environment, and I think that we managed to do that. I don't think I've ever been involved with a crew that had a better spirit and was as happy and satisfied to come to work every day. And everybody was really in very good mood, very good spirits, and I attribute a lot of that to Roland, who is responsible for creating the tempo. And Roland just has a tremendous positive attitude that becomes infectious.
Can I make a statement?
Please.
I'm tired.
Okay, John, I'm going to close this for 2 minutes.
What we want to do is do a movie really from the heart, a movie we wanted to see, something that hasn't been done in a long time, an epic film like the Cecil B. DeMille type classics, and do it with a science fiction twist to it.
Seen this movie before, which is one of the things that I was so attracted to when I became involved in it.
I had never read anything like this before. The thing that I found exciting about it, and also quite tangible, was, although it has a sort of a science fiction aspect to the film, and it has an otherworldliness about it, it's very grounded in humanity. You know, very grounded in humanity. And that's what it ultimately is about. And I think that's the reason why I was able to do it.
The size of the film would indeed be analogous to what Cecil B. DeMille was doing. And I say that with utter humility.
Action!
When I read books, I never read science fiction books. Only when like somebody offers me or says, you should make a movie out of that. It's probably like because I started with my very first movie with a science fiction movie. And I got pretty, I really liked, you know, from that moment on, you know, that you can create your own world. You have to build a lot. I like stage, I like sets. I like that movies can create something which is not in reality there. That's the kind of thing which but I discovered it in doing my first movie, which was a science fiction movie.
Ça va? T'es sûr, t'as rien?
I've I believe that it really was an idea that Roland had originally some 10, 12 years ago. So it's an idea that he's sort of been developing in his mind for a very long time. My understanding, anyway, is that when he became involved with Dean as a co-writing partner, that then Dean as well became party to the idea, and then they worked on it together and developed the screenplay.
Actually, 1928 came up because Roland and I were watching a documentary on a woman who was an Egyptologist who'd spent her life in the Valley of the Kings. She'd been there since she was a young girl, and she actually died there as a very old woman. She'd spent her life trying to learn and study a certain area in Egypt. And we fell so in love with her as a character in real life that we decided that we'd like to have that same kind of feeling. So the opening is at the Giza Plateau, which was roughly the turn of the century, where most activity was happening there. And we follow one girl who discovers something with her father and spends the rest of her life waiting to see it come to fruition, which is where the movie takes place.
Stargate, within the context of this story, represents a kind of enigmatic object or device that is discovered in 1928, and it's taken over by the military, who has some ideas that they are trying to perfect.
They've chosen him because a character who has nothing to lose can be a very destructive weapon. It's a bit like a terrorist who when part of his plan is not to escape, he becomes the sort of best and most difficult warrior of all to defeat.
Jackson!
Colonel Jack O'Neill from General West's office. I'll be taking over from now on.
It took, however, 70 years, almost 70 years, for them to even begin to decipher the code and enter our character played by James Spader, who is a kind of wunderkind who figures it out. He figures out in 14 days what the military hasn't been able to figure out in years and years and years and years.
Bon, alors il faut lire: 1 million d'années dans le ciel se tiendra, Dieu du soleil, enfoui et scellé pour l'éternité. C'est pas Pape du ciel, c'est... Porte des étoiles. Stop. Regardez. Vous pouvez me passer un... Oh, pardon.
Hé, non!
2 personnages, de chaque côté, en prière devant la pyramide, et le soleil au sommet. Effarant. C'était là, ça me crevait les yeux.
Général, Jackson vient de découvrir le dernier symbole.
Allez-y.
I think the most fun of the movie is not even our giant special effects or casts of thousands or huge sets. It's actually very little moments that James and Kirk play. In the script, the whole joke was James goes to eat the food, and it's really disgusting looking. He eats it, there's a long pause, everybody's waiting to see what he says, and he goes, tastes like chicken. All right, it's kind of an old joke, I threw it in. But James has to take it a step further. He looks at the guy, obviously the guy doesn't understand what he's saying when he says chicken, so he starts barking like a chicken. Like, bark, bark, bark. Well, this became a terrific moment. So later, in another scene, when they're trying to find James's character, and Kurt Russell can't communicate to the kids, one of the kids looks up and starts barking like a chicken. And Kurt goes, yeah, that's it, that's the guy, Chicken Man.
C'est ça. Poulet. Poulet. C'est ça, oui. Poulet. Poulet. Poulet.
Who are you doing?
Tu la veux?
I do. Sino. show.
I like actually when everybody else is more serious than I am. You know, I honestly, you know, because I'm really a person who always says I'm not taking this too serious. I'm actually taking it very serious, but I think I would like, you know, this would be not me if I would not develop some humor about all that. And actually, I think James enjoys it, that I'm not such a, you know, like straight guy. You know, I'm more like, have fun with it, you know.
He loves to act. He loves the process of it. And he's also one who...
John Morris, come to first unit.
He likes to, I'd say, get as much out of his role as he can. Not leave any rock unturned or something that he might try or something he might want to discover about the character. He's very excited by the process. He really likes it. And it's always fun to be around that, and it's always it's inspiring at times, you know, to watch somebody be as excited as that about anything they do. I have enjoyed my time with all the actors, and especially with James, who I spent most of my time with. He's been a pleasure. He and I have shared a lot of laughs and discussed the movie as little as possible.
They're very different, and that's very interesting to watch. James, he's like intellectual and analyzing, and Kurt is very, you know, he's like joking a second before the action a second. He's still telling me the story of something, then he goes to the scene, and it's a miracle, and it's just great to watch. And I think James is, you know, I feel great working with him. I work mostly with him than with Kurt, but I just, you know, I think I'm really lucky.
They really beat the bushes to find somebody that was right for that. I mean, they looked everywhere, and they found her, and she was just right.
I was working in a restaurant in New York, earning some money for the second year of school that I've been going to, acting school. A manager came in, and I didn't know she's a manager, but for me she was a customer, and I was coming to the table and reading the specials, and she cut me off in the middle and she said, "Come to my office tomorrow." She sent my tape to Roland, and without me even knowing about it, my tape with all my movies that I've done in Israel, and she got a call from him and that he wants me on the set right away. And a day after, I was shooting the most important scene in the movie for me.
Io to sai moje. Nedjeđene nosovi.
И все эти так не несут.
Na te... Ne me onak... Ej.
A scene out in the middle of the desert with 1,000 extras is still a scene, the same as a scene sitting on a couch talking to one other person in a small room. You know, I mean, you're still going through the same legwork.
The animal will go up and will start to scream, you know, and yell.
Just don't touch its ear.
It'll run over. And you guys are like here. What's looking? And you guys. Okay, let's do it again. I want to have them a little bit different.
Back to one once again, everybody. Back to one.
The greatest joy of the movie is watching an actor take something that you brought up to a 2 and then take it to a 9, and then in editing you pump it to the 10.
Walter, they came a little bit too much in this direction, right? We sort of took the tracks. The one camera was okay, the other one was good. Good.
Stargate is a terrific device within this story that creates for the audience and for the characters within the story a time warp. And I think the concept of a time warp is always a fascinating possibility.
Just to be careful.
Because if you take anyone and place them out of their time as they know it, it creates a kind of a magical world for them. So it really is the doorway to another world experience, and within that experience comes the adventure that our characters inadvertently or unknowingly embark upon.
The Stargate device is simply to get you from one side of the universe to the other side of the universe.
Yes, sir. Record all information from the Stargate.
The medallion is simply to get you from downstairs in the pyramid to upstairs in the spaceship. Even though the size relationship of travel is vastly different, it's still the same concept. So we said, hey, we apply it here. And if you look through the movie, you'll see that this crossbreeding of set design, of the way rooms are lit, of everything is kept consistent. That's Walter, that's Roland.
It would probably be an impractical idea to think that one could do this film without the possibility, the technological possibility of digitally enhancing the images that we put up on the screen. And I think that's where the technology is going. Anyway, it doesn't matter what I think. That's where the technology is going. And Roland keys right into that because that's how Roland's brain works.
Ne faites rien, Jackson.
You got to keep in mind that we're not doing digital effects on this film to look like digital effects. Roland's strictly against anything that looks science fiction-y or very inorganic yet cool.
Roland showed me a long time ago, he took me through the art department and started showing me images that he was going to put up on the screen. And I've been around for a while, and I've done this for a long time, and I was utterly surprised and amazed at what he was able to envision and imagine that he was going to be able to create with a compilation of the actual live footage that we shot and then combined with the digital, the computer graphic images.
So, like, one of the things that we're doing in that vein is the morphs, and we're morphing these helmeted creatures into human beings, and we're doing it in such a way that it's not an organic situation, but it looks like a mechamorph, a mechanical morph. So the goal there is if we do it right, people will go, who built those helmets? They're really cool the way they work. On the other end of the spectrum, we're doing the Stargate effect, which is based on totally organic stuff. it's going to be the premier effect in this whole show, because that's the name of the movie, Stargate. And then the rest of the stuff that's supposedly transparent and seamless are crowd manipulation, scene manipulation, which would have traditionally been done with matte paintings and stuff like that. Adding pyramids into shots, and we're multiplying the crowds out so that instead of 800 or 1,200 extras, you're going to have 40,000 extras.
What I like about the computer thing, you can simulate rooms. So you get a very good feeling very early, you know, how you can film a certain room. You know, the limitations, the good angles, the bad angles. So when you go into this room, you already know that this angle is not interesting, so you don't even try it. Or you know exactly what kind of lenses naturally are like the better angle. It's all like preparation works, which later you don't have to think. And a computer can simulate things you couldn't simulate otherwise.
The popular term these days is pre-visualization. You can determine what the film is going to look like in advance. And in the simplest possible terms, I draw a sort of simple comic book version of the action in the film, which communicates the director's ideas to the crew. The storyboard is the first place where the movie starts to happen, and you get a sense of the rhythm of it, and you get a sense of the action, and you get a sense of what the mood of the piece is going to be, and how it's going to cut together, and it's a way for everybody to get together on the project without having to expose a single frame of film. The goal in certain sequences here was to really try to see how scientific we could be about it, and actually create three-dimensional, mathematically accurate models of the sets in the computer, render them in full 32-bit graphics, and use them as backdrops for storyboards.
We invented a society of basically slaves, a slave society that lives on what this God and these godlike creatures give them. And so we were rather limited in our colors and our resources on what would be available on this planet also. So we had to take a lot of things into consideration before we started to design for them. I also had to take into consideration how long it would take them to get dressed in the morning with our crew, and so I tried to make a lot of it as simple as possible, while at the same time not looking like anything we've seen before, but being familiar in some respects.
Key words for those creatures actually were for me to be like impressive, scary, but also very elegant. Actually, the message is the thing that Roland had the most clear idea about. He was really looking for a creature which is very dirty, slappy, scary the first time you see it, and then once you get into it, appear to be a very nice creature. So that's where it started. The first concept was based on the regular horse. And Roland checked it out, looked at it, and thought the horse was way too small for that huge creature. So we switched into to the Clydesdale.
Patrick was like really interesting because, you know, I always said, you know, somebody who is creating the creatures, you know, should be, you know, really an artist. And I think like Patrick is a real artist. You know, his drawings are beautiful. You know, I got like 4 or 5 of his drawings, and I will hang them up on my, you know, in my house, you know, because they're really beautiful.
Well, 8000 BC was the toughest of everything that I did because the research material on that is almost nil. A few fragments of fabric and basically bones. So it had to sort of be up to our imaginations on what Northern Africans would be dressed like at that point in time. So we got a little creative with it and had fun with it. If an anthropologist took a look at it or an archaeologist, I don't know whether he would think it was accurate or not, but if nothing else, I hope it's pleasing to the eye. We made roughly, I'd say, about 3,000 costumes, and we did that factory style. We designed a whole closet of different pieces that these people would own. And after that was assembled, then we used the ropes to give it sort of personality. And we wrapped them in all these strange different ways around their heads and around their necks and everything to sort of give it some oomph. But in the society, you had the group of elders, the elder women, the unmarried women who were potential brides, and then you had the workers in the town, and then you had the workers in the mines. We use that circle concept, and you see it a lot in the robe, and all of his garments, also in the children, you see these circle motifs. And they hopefully have a little bit of Bugatti with a little bit of the future added to them. A lot of the beads, a lot of the embellishments, all of that stuff we had to make. There was really not a whole lot that existed.
I said to Joseph, this guy has to be the best dressed, most elaborate dressed. He has to look a cross between like Caligula and the Pope, and it must be spectacular. But do it like in certain colors. That it fits very well with the rest of the concept of the movie. And we had a color coordination meeting with the other departments, and he went and came back with the layouts and designs, and I said, fine, do it.
Ra's way of keeping his power over these people is by using advanced technology, which, as Arthur C. Clarke has so rightfully pointed out, any advanced technology to native types is the same thing as magic. Everything about Ra is big. Everything about Ra is ceremony and pomp and circumstance, and if he could have music everywhere he went, he would, and that's how he awes these guys.
Dude.
J turn.
It's a one-on-one fight between our hero and Ra's sort of ace henchman is a guard called Anubis, who starts off as a guard with a jackal's head. Kurt Russell has to battle him. So it's quite an old-fashioned, the kind of battle that John Wayne would have been doing had he been making movies now.
You was too.
Ready and action.
Midakwe Mabaya Ramate.
Yatati. Samiyaya. The year you named. Tahandro. Soini.
But modern Egyptian is actually a dialect of Arabic and was replaced several hundred years ago, the original language of Egypt. And ancient Egyptian is now, therefore, a dead language. And even more difficult in terms of reconstructing what it sounded like, ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, which are phonetically based, as opposed to being just a purely one picture equals one word. It's actually words are spelt out, and then some other signs have a symbolic meaning that give you a clue to what the word means. And they only preserve the consonants. So it's like we have a kind of skeleton for each word, and figuring out what the vowels are is the tricky part about translating or transcribing the language into a spoken form.
Sapien, Ramedchef, Bahanef Zenan, Tepiriev. C'est pas croyable. Quoi?
Typically, Egyptologists just throw in an arbitrary E in between the different consonants and let it go at that, because that's all we really need to do. So it was really interesting researching the reconstruction of what we call phonology of the language, how it really sounded, and even neater hearing the actors saying it, because I'm not an actor, so I can't quite rattle it off as well as, say, Nauri can, or Millie has beautiful pronunciation. Of course, being Israeli, that helps quite a lot too, because it's a related language, Semitic language.
Tapariev? Tapariev?
Tapariev.
Tapariev.
The thing is that at the beginning I thought it's really easy, because it's like gibberish. It's like you don't care about the words, you care about what you mean to say. But there was one scene that I did with James that I had to say a couple of those words, and most of it's silence. I mean, especially not in English anyway, not in a language that I understand what I'm saying. And that was so hard, because all of a sudden you have to fill those words with meaning. So that's not really easy. And also, I just got last night like a whole monologue in ancient Egyptian. And if I can do that, I can do anything.
Tapa. Nejet? Nejet?
Neda.
Neda. Neda.
Tiu.
Tiu. Tiu.
It's been really neat hearing it come alive, literally, right in front of me. Because normally it seemed a very remote kind of thing. You're doing a translation. Somehow it doesn't seem like a real language. But to hear people really rattling it off like this and speaking it at a pace and with the vowels reconstructed has been really neat and really brought the language alive for me.
Necher, Netcheru, Ben Netcheru.
Nate, Naturu.
I think what it does is it says, we don't think you're idiots. We think you can figure this out. We think you're going to have more fun getting involved and putting your brain to work rather than just sitting back saying, okay, blow me away. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to make for a very interesting next generation of people.
The idea of this hieroglyph, it was to combine the Egyptian hieroglyphs and a future civilization. We have built an alphabet called the Stargate alphabet that includes these signs, these hieroglyphs, these phrases, and these motifs. Here we have the king who has his queen, who's not here now. Here we have the dog, and the scarab, and the palm. These hieroglyphs have all a meaning for us, and they all have a name, and their placement has also a meaning. This is the Ana router. It's one of those rare machines, there are 9 in the world. This machine can produce the job of 100 men in one day. And over here, we have still some parts of the sarcophagus. The sarcophagus is already at the Spruce Goose Dome. This is where the men will lay and be revitalized. These are parts of the sarcophagus too. These are molding of some parts that we have done, and they will wrap the sides of the sarcophagus.
expensive it is here.
It is called the sarcophagus. This is it's based on an Egyptian burial tomb, burial coffin, really. But this has a special ability to rejuvenate people.
Stand by. Boys, okay, wings, go. Sides up.
This film was not made cynically. It wasn't like we sat down and said, wow, what a commercial concept, we're going to make a lot of dough. In fact, we know how risky this movie is. We know how difficult the concepts are that we're going after. We don't educate the people who watch this movie what the histories are of the theories of ancient Egypt. We're assuming you already know that.
Et regardez-moi ça, ça raconte qu'un voyageur venu des étoiles avait fui un monde à l'agonie parce qu'il cherchait le moyen de prolonger sa propre existence. Son corps affaibli et malade le condamnait au trépas. Sa race entière semblait vouée à l'extinction. Il se mit donc en route, à travers les galaxies, en quête d'un quelconque moyen d'échapper à la mort. Et, tenez, regardez là. Il arriva dans un monde qui débordait de vie, où il découvrit une race primitive, les hommes. C'était une espèce que sa science et ses pouvoirs lui permettaient de maintenir en vie indéfiniment. Il comprit alors qu'à l'intérieur d'un corps humain, il accéderait à une existence nouvelle. Apparemment, il trouva un jeune homme. Tandis que les autres fuyaient, effrayés par une lumière qui changeait la nuit en jour, celui-là, sans peur, poussé par la curiosité, marcha vers la lumière. Alors Ra le prit et posséda son corps comme une espèce de parasite à la recherche d'un hôte. Et abrité sous cette forme humaine, il instaura son règne absolu. Grâce à la porte des étoiles, il transporta des milliers d'hommes ici, sur cette planète, pour travailler, dans les mines, comme celle que nous avons vue. Ce minerai est manifestement la base de sa technologie. Il lui garantit la vie éternelle. Voyons. Ah oui, il se produisit quelque chose sur Terre. Un soulèvement, une rébellion, et la porte des étoiles fut ensevelie. Pour éviter la même chose ici, Ra mit la lecture et l'écriture hors la loi. Il ne voulait pas que le peuple se rappelle la vérité.
It was very important for me that when we were going to make this movie, it wasn't going to be something where the white man comes and frees all the brown-skinned people. So what we decided on very early was that knowledge is the ultimate power.
Yes! Kassoff! Yemio Maye, Naturuti.
The Daniel character, the Egyptologist guy, he's the guy who sees through all this stuff. He doesn't know how any of this stuff started. He sees through it. He's the one that incites the riot, brings people back to their senses, and shows them that it's just technology. It's just a machine.
Well, I hope, though, that when people see this film, that they're turned on to the whole Egypt angle of the film. I don't expect people to run out and buy every Von Daniken or Zachariah Sitchin book and say, well, that's the gospel. But I would love for people to look again, to question it, to reevaluate everything we know. And maybe we'll come up with the exact same conclusion. But isn't that the fun of it? This is one of the last remaining mysteries on our planet. And it's so easy for us to take for granted, this is the history, this is how it was. But you know, things pop up that make you question it. Then you just say, well, wait a minute. There is an actual lovely subversive message we have very deep in here that I hope people find.
I think that a particular credit has to be given to Mario Kassar, who really is Roland's responsible for what we're doing here, but Mario's responsible for Roland, and thereby Mario's responsible for this, and I just think it's important because here I am talking about the film, and Roland's out there directing the film, as we can hear all this stuff going on, but it was Mario's belief in an idea that made this picture happen. Ultimately, he's really the architect behind Roland's vision, and everybody needs to know that.
I like very much pre-production, and then I get very nervous about the shooting, and then the moment I shoot, I love shooting. I always say I love shooting, this whole pre-production issue. When I'm in the editing room, I pretty much say, all that other, now the real movie making starts. You know? I don't know, and then I always like want to never do it again. It's too, because it's really stress. There's nobody sees that so much, you know. Even like somebody like from the outside who's in a film crew never knows how much stress a director is under. Because I always understand like a director as the guy who is like responsible for the good mood, for the creativity, for being relaxed, not getting too tense. Because I think the result is better. I know that like some of my colleagues disagree, but you know I think a shoot should be fun. Yeah? And but I'm like constant under stress, and I sleep very bad, and I have like these weird nightmares, and I'm happy when it's over. And then the worst part for me is then they test my movie and rip me apart, and that's like all like pretty tough.
Last one, Ken. There you go. It sells it, and I don't know what it is. I like sweets. I know if I any clue. A little bit of music, a little bit of music, a very low slide, but we have to ask for it. Shall we? It's good. And then like the camera plays down, and they hold the camera. And
I've enjoyed myself. I've had just a nice time, and I've had a great time with Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich, who are fun people. They're fun. He runs a fun set. People are I think, always, you know, basically having a good time, and I think that's important for a movie. I like those experiences a lot.
I'd work with them again anytime, anywhere. I loved them. I just loved them.
Most people will let you go until they understand it, which is usually too far down the road before they go, no, this is wrong. So Roland's really good in that he can see something and he can make the jump across the imaginary bounds of imagination and go, no, or yes, this is exactly right. When he gets enthused about something, it's wonderful.
I think Roland's sensibilities bring everything that you see to this project. And this really was masterminded by Roland's imagination. And this is simply a manifestation of what Roland dreamed up and thought about and kind of directed in his own brain. And this is all, ultimately, this is the material extension of Roland's idea and Roland's imagination. And I am in utter awe of Roland for being able to have this kind of the magnitude of this film, the size of this film in his brain. I couldn't do that. I guess that's why I don't do what he does, but then he has to rely on someone like me to make it happen for him too.
With the camera always he stands like battery here, yeah? Here. They have two cameras. One, I got a new one already. Two. Thanks, I'm ready. I got you will come. It's just bad. Scara, Alexis is the first, and on the right side, on his like right side is Johnny, and the left side is where is he? I have to always look. Are you? Frankie, and then behind them are you two, and the stunt people are like a little bit in the background. They're like in the background.
No,
yeah?
not in the shot.
Background
Really
action
bad.
more. Yeah, and you guys will come as a group. There's a message button. We'll come up here. The middle is Alexis, and like Frankie, and right behind them you two guys. So it's a 5 group which comes like up here like this, the rim, and then you stop here and listen, you know? And then all of a sudden there will be like this, and you wait, and there will be like, we make like a loud honk horn that you can hear it over the thing, and then you will make a sign, yeah? And you will keep going and towards the camera and pass it as close as possible. Yeah, on the right side of the camera.
Which means your left.
Which
Right.
your left. No. Yeah, your left. No.
Yeah, over there. It is getting late, isn't it?
It is getting late, yeah.